Hello and welcome to the studio. We're doing something a little bit different today because I wanted to share a part of the creative process that we haven't really talked about much before here on Get More Creative, but it's an important part and it's a stage in the process that I'm at right now, so I thought this might be a good example. So this is a stage right towards the end of a particular cycle of work, and I've got three works to show you today that are all stenciled panels that have been fired, so they're technically finished. And you can see here the first one. This is one I'm really pleased with, actually. This kind of shading effect that I'm getting is a new step for me, and I'm really excited about how that's worked. And you can see there's a sort of hint of one in here that I've masked in an earlier stage and then layered over the darker grey on top, so you get that kind of ghosting effect of something happening. And I'm really enjoying the layering, and the blue is a new colour for me, but I think that's working well. So this is a piece that I took some risks on. I tried out something new, but it's really paid off for me and I'm really happy with that. So that's finished. It's got its hook on the back and it's ready to go on the wall. So that's a good one. This one is a bit of a mixed bag. So it's part of the same series, and I won't go into the whole kind of genesis of it here, but yeah, so it's got this white layer and it's on a grey clay. So this is the actual colour of the clay. And the actual design I'm really happy with. It's simple but effective, and that's how I like things. But you can see here it's got all this dark smudging on. And that was me when I took it out of the kiln. I was wearing heat-proof gloves that had soot on them, so I've managed to get grubby fingerprints all over it. So that's a bit of a mess. So I'm a bit cross with myself for doing that. But I know that if I put it back in the kiln and fire it again, the soot will burn off and I'll be left with a clean one. I just don't want to take the temperature too high so that the clay doesn't overcook. So that one's going back in the kiln. So that's a simple, I've looked at it, I've reviewed it, I know what the problem is, and I know how to solve that problem. So I know what to do with that one. So that's a kind of easy next step. It just has to go back into the next firing and then it'll be ready to finish. So that's kind of a different situation. And then there's this third one. So it's a bigger piece, and yeah, I'm not happy with this one at all. So I think that the composition and the subject matter is still interesting for me, but the layering of the colours hasn't worked. And yeah, it was a new test on this dark grey clay, and with the dark grey stain, it's kind of really not working, and I'm not happy with these lines up here. The angles aren't right. And obviously you can see where the dark grey has bled through into this kind of yellowy buff colour, which was not what I wanted at all. So this one, having got to this point of the review, this one needs a complete rethink. So this one is going to go back to the drawing board. I'm going to look at my subject matter again, and I'm going to work out a kind of new way of doing this. Quite possibly I'll blank the whole thing over and start from scratch. So there's a lot more work to do, but it's basically, it kind of goes back into the cycle at the beginning. So that's a kind of an example really of the sort of three different extremes of the outcome that you might get from this kind of what I think of as an editorial review. So while I'm creating, I want to be free, and I work quite intuitively and I like it that way, so I want to keep that. So it's about being live to that moment and following that inspiration. And with ceramics, I always have to then follow that through with the firing. But then there's this editorial stage at the end where I look back at it, and I haven't seen it for a little while and it's changed, and I can look back and think, am I happy with this? Am I not happy with this? What do I need to do next? So that's where I'm at in my process at the moment. I hope that's a useful insight for you. And I'd really love to hear where you are in your process at the moment. So do let me know below, if there's a stage you're at, if there's anything that I could help you with, because we've got a few weeks before the end of the year, and I'd be very happy to answer any questions that you've got at this stage. So do let me know, and I look forward to hearing from you. Bye for now.